The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe will be Holy Trinity's entry in this year's Sears Drama Festival, a competitive one-act play showcase held across Ontario. Schools compete at the district, regional, and provincial levels and develop their skills in theatrical performance, group collaboration, and creativity. Our production this year has been a glowing example of an integrated arts program, as it includes many different facets of drama, dance, music, visual, and media arts. It has been an enriching experience for all involved. This documentary will examine how we have moved from an idea to a full-scale production. Now, let us take you into the wardrobe.
Well, the choosing of the play was kind of one of the more important things that we did, and it came about by a series of arguments. Quite frankly, it was Emily that made the decision to do this. It was kind of her idea to do Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and I was against it from the beginning, just because I knew the production costs that were going to go into it and how expensive it was going to be to produce. It's such a well-known piece that you really need to do it up to people's imaginations. I eventually came around to the idea and eventually really enjoyed the fact that we're doing this.
With a show as well known as The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, audiences come in with expectations. Because of this, casting becomes a primary goal.
Everybody knows something about the land of Narnia, so we had to kind of meet people's expectation. The real benefit in that, though, we already had people's imagination that we were able to build into and to be able to build from. So everybody knew already what they thought of Aslan. They already know what it's supposed to look like. They know about Lucy's innocence, and so they're already meeting us more than halfway. So while we need to be aware of what the audience is expecting, their expectations give us a nice jumping off point.
We approached this year's Drama Festival production with one major acting goal: everything should be bigger. Minor character choices become magnified in the competition, so this year we decided acting was going to be our focus.
After deciding the play that we wanted to do, and that again was a series of decisions, the next thing was cast. We had to make sure that we cast the right people in the right roles, and once we had our cast down, then we can start expanding further. So in May of last year, once we had chosen what we were doing, we decided we were going to have auditions. We did very organized auditions. We gave students some time to memorize bits and really prepare what they thought the character was going to be, and allowed students to interpret what they wanted to do. The four Pevensies, each one presents their own individual challenge. With Peter, you need that leader. You need somebody who not only are his brother and sister going to follow, but people of Narnia need to follow him as well. So you needed that commanding leadership. With Susan, we were looking for a motherly type character. For Edmund, we needed to have somebody who, while he is the working deceiver or villain, if you will, of the play, we needed somebody who you can also almost connect with, so somebody who's lovable as well as deceitful and difficult. And then for Lucy, we're looking for innocence, and we're looking for somebody who's got that innocence, but also that curiosity of going into the wardrobe and connecting our two worlds. And then, once we had all of those individual pieces, we needed to make sure that the four Pevensies fit together like a family.
These are very much the stars of the play. Casting the iconic family was a challenge, but the results were spectacular.
Lucy is a very wondrous, wonderful character, and she has just this like bubbly innocence to her that I suppose all children have, but her specifically, it causes her to have a sort of bravery. She reminds me of me as a kid, so using my own childhood experiences and my own childhood innocence to explore this character. I've always kind of carried my childhood past and my childhood self with me throughout life up until now, so it was definitely like an exploring process, looking at like my own past and stuff like that, but it was a wonderful experience nonetheless. Through being allowed to play Lucy, I got to work with the most wonderful people and also explore the world of a character that I grew up watching.
Edmund's really self-centered. Well, at the beginning, anything he does for his own personal gain, but he evolves towards the end of it, and he starts to think more about his family and what he can do to help others as opposed to just himself. Well, for my portrayal of Edmund, I focused more on my own frustrations, basically. I would think about how I would act if this was my family. I sort of had a lot of freedom. There's a lot of different ways that you could act out Edmund's emotions. There isn't just one distinct sort of emotion that's given through his lines. Like, there could be a lot of underlying problems or feelings that he has, which could cause him to act out differently in different scenarios. And my favorite thing about playing Edmund was just the fact that I could play around with this character.
Every year we get actors with experience and then completely new ones as well. Everyone was very impressed with our newbies this year. Megan was a great dwarf, Aiden made a great Peter, and Casey found a Mr. Tumnus that neither Mr. Mallion or I had thought of before.
It's true.
At first I didn't know how to do it, but like a lot of people helped me through this. Mr. Mallion, especially Moira, like, I wouldn't be as confident as I am right now if I didn't have all these people helping me, and no way I would have ever imagined me being up on stage, actually in a play, let alone like a speaking role. I find that Mr. Tumnus is just very scared of everything that he sees. And when he meets Lucy for the very first time, and like she helps him out and she's nice and polite, he wants to be her friend. And as much as it hurts him to do the wrong thing, he eventually does the right thing. And I find the way that it helped me with my acting is that I just have to connect. Like, just try to better yourself. Like, I have to become a better person, just as Tumnus had to become a better person for Lucy.
The hardest character, I think, to cast is probably the witch, because she needs to carry the only real conflict in the show. The witch needs to be at the same time sweet but terrifying. So we needed to be able to pull those two things together in the same person.
Characteristic that I tried to work on was confidence. You know, with Mallion helping me, I just loved how with confidence, you know, your back was straight. She always knew what to do. She was never in denial of, oh wait, are we gonna win? You know, I just thought that with her being confident, it just really helped with using the tone of voice that she would use. That really helped me drop into character.
To create the magical world of Narnia, a lot of demands were placed on the visual art team. They had the task of helping the audience move back and forth from our world into Narnia.
Whenever we were designing the set, we wanted to make sure that it had a lot of different purposes. It needed to be functional, like it needed to be something we were able to travel with. We are going to be going to a festival with this, so it needs to be something we can put in a truck and move from A to B. Also need to kind of show the different worlds, right? We want to be able to see a difference between Narnia and the real world.
The spare room acted like a home base for the Pepsies. We wanted to use warm colors to juxtapose the frozen land of Narnia.
Our first intention for the wardrobe was to make it look like 3D, and that it was carved wood, so we chose different shades of brown and oranges, and we used a chicken wire mesh underneath, which we paper mache over so the face would stick out more when seen from the side. After we paper mached it, we started to paint it. We painted the face first, adding lots of colors. Besides, took the most time, and we used 3 colors to blend and give the gradation. And we followed the lines that were already on the wood naturally, the bookshelf in the spare room. At first we had regular books in here, but it was too heavy, especially to turn and to transport. So what we did is cut the spines off of all the books and glue them onto boxes. So it looks like there's books there, but there's really not. And we also added other props here so it looks like something that would be in a bookshelf and give it more of a homey feel.
The challenge with the Edge of the Forest sets is that it needed to look cold. Some of that could be helped by the actors acting cold, but the sets turned out brilliantly.
This is the tree from the Edge of the Forest scene. It was originally a plastic Christmas tree, but we took it apart and stuck it together, and then to give it an icy snow feel, we covered it with insulation and then painted that insulation white. I started by stapling this black material to the back of the red chair to cover it up in the forest scene.
And then we used leftover branches from the big Christmas tree, along with more insulation foam and white paint to make the snowy look, as like we do with the bigger tree on the back of the bookshelf.
The beaver's den needed to look homey, but a different homey than the spare room.
So first we started with plywood, and then from there we added logs on and painted a darker brown in the creases to add contrast.
And then we glued on bunches of moss, and we added more of the spray foam on, which we painted white so it looked like snow. These are the table and chairs that are seen in the beaver den scene, and we wanted them to look like the stumps of trees. The sides are made with burlap and chicken wire, which we painted black, brown, and light beige to show the contour between the parts that stick out and the parts that don't. And then the top is just a piece of plywood, which we painted plain brown.
The stumps, we did the same, folding the burlap to give it this shape and painting it for the contrast.
The witch's castle needed to be the epicenter of all the cold in Narnia. All the statues are there, and so is the Queen of Cold herself.
These are the icebergs that are next to the White Witch's throne. We started with just a black box, and from there we chicken wired and paper mache.
We painted the creases on the iceberg blue, and which we blended into white to make it look extremely icy. And paper macheing is probably the longest process of any of the things that we had to do for any of the set pieces. Chicken wire to make the base of the lion head, which we paper macheed over and then we painted. And then we spray painted mops, like rope mop, and we wove it into the mesh around the mane. And we put chunks of mirror in the lion's eyes, which we were going to shine light onto to make beams go into the crowd, but it didn't work, so we cut that.
Using lighting, fog machines, and music can help transport an audience from their seats to another world. Creating the magic of Narnia was an interesting task.
Special effects is to get that magic across to the audience. Narnia is a land where magic exists. It has fairy tale creatures, and we need the audience to accept that. We need the audience to suspend belief and believe that this is a land of magic. Showing also a separation of the spare room and Narnia, which I think the dancers end up doing quite well too, is that they're able to transform the modern day and the spare room world, our world, into Narnia. By using the special effects, by using the music, by using the dancers and the lighting, we're able to try and get us from one world into the next.
Our stage manager, Jen, is fantastic. She handles all the workings backstage and facilitates all the magic in the show.
So I'm basically in charge of everything that goes on backstage, whether it's set movement, set placement. I had to spike all of the stage beforehand, but I don't have to actually move anything because we have the dancers for that, and that is a blessing because it's a pain in the butt to move everything. I have the best view of everything because I sit right here behind me, and so I have a really great view of everything that goes on behind the scenes. I get to see little things that the actors do, and I get to work with basically everybody in the show.
Oftentimes, the easiest way to get an audience to forget they are watching a play is to not allow them time to think about it. Having the dancers change the scenery was a fundamental part of creating a suspension of belief.
Sure that this play, as dense as it is, we're still able to get everything across. With long set changes, that was going to be a real problem. So the first purpose for having dancers and music in it was really a functional purpose. It was to get the sets changed quickly while keeping the audience interested in what's going on. The dancers are really what tie this whole show together. And so they serve their functional purpose, but they also really do serve a beautiful artistic purpose, I think, too.
The choreography was such a fundamental part of this show, and Ms. Pollard made that possible.
In The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, my role was essentially the choreographer, which you don't normally think of having a choreographer for a Drama Festival play, but we had decided this year that we wanted to try to do something maybe a little bit more cutting edge. So coming up with the idea behind it was first and foremost practical. We wanted to make sure that pieces of furniture got where pieces of furniture needed to go. And then we tackled the challenge afterwards of trying to make it beautiful. And we were very lucky because the music that we got from our students, from Katani and from Dylan, was so well done and it was so well recorded. It had a lot to work with. So I think in terms of concept, practicality had to be first. And then the second thing was just to kind of create the atmosphere and that feeling of Narnia, to make it Narnia an otherworldly place. For my students, anytime that they go on stage, I want them to come out of it with a really positive experience. I want them to experience the joy of being able to share their gift and their talent with the audience. I want to put my kids on stage as often as possible, and I want to show everyone just how united and integrated our arts department is at Holy Trinity. So for them to be able to be a part of something that typically they wouldn't be a part of, I thought was a great opportunity.
This year, our makeup crew moved from regular makeup application to a creation of depth that we have not reached before. We went beyond simply covering blemishes to creating higher skill sets and finding new levels of creativity. More than anything, this experience was about learning. We had 2 workshops, one in mask making and another in makeup.
I think what they have learned is how to work in teams. So at first they were a little bit more reluctant into sharing their opinions, but now they work really well. And so somebody will throw an idea and then everybody kind of builds from that idea, and then together they're able to put all these ideas together and create these amazing sets or these amazing concepts for masks or amazing concepts for costumes. And yes, they've also learned a lot. Their artistic skills have grown a lot as well. So they're more confident in their skills, they're more confident in their ideas, and they've just become stronger artists. My strengths are mostly painting and drawing. So when it comes to doing anything that's three-dimensional, I wanted somebody that was that knew all the steps and somebody that's professional in the skill, so that they can show me and then the students how to do it, so that we do it the right way.
What's exciting about this performance of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is that it's bringing Holy Trinity to another level. We are always looking for strong performance opportunities that will allow us to reach our full potential. This is an experience that the cast and crew will never forget.
My favorite part of being in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was probably being a part of such a huge production.
Rehearsing at 7 a.m. That was the best part.
The 7 o'clock morning practices. Just kidding.
My favorite part was learning stage combat.
My favorite part was watching all the bits and pieces coming together and becoming one big plan.
My favorite thing about this experience had to be being in the spotlight.
My favorite part of the performance was getting to know the people in the cast a lot better.
I guess my favorite part of being in Narnia was, I don't know, in between the takes, we were all like, we got so close, we just started laughing and joking.